sponsored by the Fair Labor Action Coalition and Green Oxford. It's part of a series of events this week that are part of Green Oxford's Coal Week. And Green Oxford approached the Fair Labor Action Coalition a while back and said, you know, we want to do this week on talking about moving away from coal power. And we know that renewables are an important part of this conversation. We know that the labor movement and good green jobs are an important part of this conversation. And so from that, we decided to put this event on. We're going to have kind of a short overview, 10 minutes or so, of what exactly this green economy idea is, and a little bit of information from the Fair Labor Action Coalition and our understanding of a green economy that is also a fair labor economy. And then we're going to have each of our panelists talk for about 10 minutes, kind of what work they do and how that relates to our topic here. And then we'll open it up for question and answer. So I hope we can have a really great discussion here tonight, and I'm really excited to see everybody. So the green economy has been described as encompassing the economic activity related to reducing the use of fossil fuels, decreasing pollution and greenhouse gas emissions, increasing efficiency of energy usage, recycling materials, and developing and adopting renewable sources of energy. And so that's kind of from the environmental side, an economy that protects and sustains our environment. Also, there's the labor side, the job side of the green economy, especially in our current economic recession. A huge promise of the green economy is that it has the potential to create millions of jobs. As you see here, the Apollo Alliance estimates that $500 billion in investment in green initiatives over the next 10 years could create up to 5 million jobs. And this would also lead to a revival of our manufacturing, including here in Ohio, and local investment in our communities, in the way we live, and in our transportation system. However, there are some parts about the green economy that aren't always talked about, and some places where we haven't done as good as we should. And that's in gender, racial, and economic equity in the green economy. And so this outline here is from the Applied Research Center, which you will see on the green handout that you have of resources. And they produced a document called the Green Equity Toolkit. And it's talking about how we can bring together the ideas of the green economy with social justice and economic justice. And so when thinking about this, what we need are career pathways. These jobs need to move into higher skilled occupations, so our green jobs aren't poverty wage jobs. We need job creation programs that are coupled with job training programs, because if our federal government is funding job training but not job creation, then we're still not going to have the jobs we need. And these jobs need to have living wages, they need to have workplace safety, decent benefits, and freedom to unionize. And none of those are given in either the economy that's exploiting the environment or many of the green jobs that currently exist. And we need to see racial and gender equity in green jobs and in the management of these companies as well. And so from the perspective of the Fair Labor Action Coalition, and also many people in this room, I think, one way to work towards this vision of the green, fair labor economy is through alliances between labor and environmental interests. And this is important because climate change has long-term effects on our jobs, our workers, and our communities. So climate change is happening. And if the labor movement is going to have a say in what our new economy is going to look like, we need to get on board. And also, a strong labor environmental alliance it's just necessary. We need more political power to be able to create this vision. And we need both sides of the equation, labor and environment. And what we share in common is a dissatisfaction with the way that our economy is run. Because the way our economy is run right now, all the costs are being placed on the workers and the environment. And so we share this dissatisfaction and this vision of a way that could be better. And especially for people of my generation, I think, we're not aware of the history of alliance between environmental and labor organizations. And there's this myth out there that labor and environment can't work together, right? And that's really just not true. Because we saw in the 1960s and 80s that labor and environment alliances formed to halt the spread of hazardous substances in both the workplace and in the environment, because they're really two sides of the same issue. And this alliance was really fruitful in that we saw strike support in the boycott of Shell Oil, and we saw legislation being passed that protected both the environment and the workers. But alliance isn't always easy. And we have to understand that there are obstacles that we're going to have to overcome to build this vision and build this alliance. One of those being that there are very real concerns about protecting jobs right now. And balancing those with long-term environmental change and a long-term economic strategy is a really big challenge. And part of that is that we just haven't seen just transition strategies that address the needs of workers and communities that are impacted by the phase-out of high-carbon industries. So I believe that Elisa Young will be able to speak a little bit to that, because we need to see jobs being made for the auto workers, for the people who are in the coal mines right now, that make that transition just. And also there's just, we need to be networking more. We need to be learning from each other, because in these alliances, there are stereotypes, there's misinformation out there, and there are also can be class conflicts in the Labor Environment Alliance. And so we wanted to give you two examples of kind of what we're talking about to make this a little more tangible. And so here we have, there are two companies that are making wind turbines. So what we would think of as green companies. But the first one, Clipper, was contacted by the union and the International Brotherhood of Electric Workers, and notified that 70% of their workers had signed union cards. And upon learning that, the company brought in a consulting firm that helped them organize against the union drive. And on the other end of the spectrum is a company that we're calling Green Labor Partner, also a wind turbine manufacturer, also contacted by the union when a majority of workers signed pledge cards, but they took a different tack. They voluntarily recognized the union, they chose to provide good wages and benefits, and as a result, American Rights at Work has added Gamesa to its list of employers with the best labor relations policies. So we see that there are two routes we can go. One that says green jobs have to be good jobs, fair labor jobs, and one that says we're going to protect the environment but not the worker. And with that, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to our panelists.